What is going on, guys? It's your boy Jay Custody Gray here from Anime Escape with another What If Wednesdays. This episode is kind of a doozy. Pulls at heartstrings. Today's What If is what if Dr. Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? This is an episode about grief. Cause this is, it's tense. Not as in like, someone learning their lesson tense, but it's just tense. If you get what I'm saying, like there's a message behind it, but at the same time, damn. Like you can't get out of this. Like you really can't. Man, this is crazy, man. Like normally I'd be able to start off like do hints and stuff, but this episode was just legit just grief. Like it's a grief and life lessons. That's all it is. Like really, that's all it is, and that's all you can learn from this episode because it's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's just. I hope I don't see this in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That would be the saddest fucking movie ever in life. Besides that, I'm gonna get into it. So you got your spoiler warning popping up soon. This is rough. So you have been warned. 3, 2, 1. Okay. This episode is fucking insane. So, episode starts off reviewing something similar to what we know. It's about Dr. Strange, obviously. So this episode, it starts off where Dr. Strange normally starts off in the movie, but he's normally by himself. But this time when he's driving to the convention, he has Christine with him, his love interest. He's talking, they're joking, yada yada, boom. He tries to goes around his truck, almost runs into a car. He dives back over, he slows down, dives back over behind the car. Everything's cool. Next thing you know, a car comes out of nowhere behind him, plows over him, drives off the curve, crashes, kills Christine. Doesn't damage him, but just kills Christine. That sends him on the journey to find the Ancient One and learn the art of mystic arts and everything like that and become Sorcerer Supreme. So it jumps to where he defeats Dormammu, then it jumps to where he's like sitting there with whiskey in a glass in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and Wong walks up, and Wong is like, "Oh, so you're drinking the cheap stuff now?" So he asks him how long has it been since Christine has passed. He said it's been officially 2 years, and then Wong asks what is he doing, and he's sitting there holding the eye of Agamotto, but he flips it over. So he's like, Wong's like, I'm gonna go set up the tea before you do something stupid. It's like, all right, cool. So here's the something stupid. Dr. Strange, because we all know the Eye of Agamotto is technically the Time Stone, goes back in time to try to stop Christine from dying. And first time, he does all the proper turns and everything like that, still dies. Next time, they go a different route, still dies. Like, literally, he's done it like multiple times. Like, every single time she dies, no matter what he does. Like, they go to a pizza parlor, like a bank robber robber shows up, accidentally kills her. Like, he doesn't show up at all. She dies in like a bomb explosion or something like that. Every single time he tries to save her, she dies. And then the last time, like, he's like in so much shock because he's been like trying to save her repeatedly, like over and over again, and she's like sees it on his face, like, what's going on? Like, maybe you shouldn't drive, maybe I should drive. So she takes the keys from him, and she's like talking to him. She's like, hey, what's wrong? Maybe we should play some music, lighten the mood, things of that nature. He's like, everything's gonna be okay. And Steve's like, all I need is you. And then you see behind him the headlights from the car, pow, hits him, kills her again. So he is just like in agony. He's in pain. He's relived this so many times. So, next thing you know, the Ancient One pops up. And she's like, why are you torturing yourself? You're doing this over and over and over again. This is a set point in time. this point cannot change. And Steve he's fighting it. He's like, no, there's lost books, and then there's this and everything like that, and there has to be some spell out there for me to get her back. So he sets to go back in time. The Ancient One stops and blasts him, but somehow he winds up still going back in time. He looks for he lands in a jungle, and he meets this guy, which he has like a cool, like, if Obito was black, that's how I wanted him to be. But like, he has like these like tattoos, like wave tattoos, like spiraling around the eye almost, and then like one's eye is like light blue, one's like light brown. So I'm like, okay, and he's dark skinned. I'm like, okay, represent. But Steven's trying to talk to him. Was like, hey, I'm looking for, what did he say to me? Lost library. I can't remember the name of it. It's gonna come to me later. But he was looking for this super lost library because this ancient being figured out how to erase set points in time. So pretty much he's just trying to erase that set point so Christine can live. So he follows him. First of all, the guy doesn't say anything to him and just turns around and walks off. Pretty much leads him to this lost library. He pretty much sling rings himself into the library. Booby traps are activated. He drops into the library. The guy actually, the black guy actually walks up to him. He was like, "You are like the strangest dressed sorcerer I've ever seen in my life." And this is like the funniest joke ever to me. And he was like, "Well, it is Armani." And he was like, "Sorcerer Armani?" And he was like, "No, I know it's strange." He was like, "Yeah, it's a strange name." He was like, "My name's Obe." And he was like, "Yeah, I can lead you in here and look what you're looking for." So he leads him into the library, and Obe asks Strange like, "How long are you planning to be here?" And Strange is like, "As long as it takes." And he starts looking, like summoning all these books to him, and he like finally finds the book about the time travel and set points and things of that nature. So he starts reading, and he realizes that it takes an enormous amount of power and absorbing powers from other beings, to actually gain the power to stop a set point in time. So, which blew my mind off gate. So he summons, the first time he tries it, he summons a mini angled one. Now, if you don't know what a mini angled one is, it is like the beings of Shimagora. They like live in, if I remember correctly, like live in between dimensions, the space in between dimensions or something like that. But he summons it and it beats the hell out of him. So Obe, Strange wakes up, Obe's taking care of him, repairing his injury, like bandaging him up and stuff. And Obe like gets straight to the point. He's like, "Who are you doing?" He's like, "She must be important because you're doing this for me." He's like, "Every ounce of my fiber, this is important." And he was like, I forgot what he said, that shit was so wise. I cannot remember what he said, but it was so damn wise. I cannot remember. Please go back and watch the episode because he says it and it's so wise. I was like, damn, that's so true. Pretty much he says like you can't live in, like something like you can't live in grief, you must only live through your life and maintain everything. Like something in that line. Something. I don't know. I messed it up. It's just pretty bad. So Strange, he goes back and then he figures, okay, instead of jumping to the big guns, why don't I go like small all the way up to the big guns? So he starts absorbing every dark like magical entity. Like it started off weird because it was like magical evil gnomes, and I'm like, this is weird. Absorbs them. Then he's like starts absorbing everything. Like it is weird. It's like it gets to a point where he like after the magical gnome, he like summons a magical bug. It has like a giant. It's like a giant ass ladybug with a cape. He was like, "Yeah, I like the cape." Takes the cape. He was like, "I don't do bugs," and like sends it back. I was like, "Okay." So then like he summons like so many monsters, and like he like goes through, just absorbs them, and then he gets back to the point where he can absorb not the actual entire mini angled one, but he like cut off like 6 or 7 of the tentacles and then absorbed the tentacles. So technically it's still absorbing his power. So he's like, I finally done it. And then he goes to see Obey. And it's like, Obey, what happened to you? He was like, time has happened to me. And come to find out, Stephen Strange has frozen himself in a century's worth of time to absorb all that magic. A century. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. This man is super fucking determined. So, you know, Obey messed around and spills the beans. Pretty much he was like, well, you're only half a man. You know, because Stephen's like, I'm still not strong enough. He's like, well, you're only half a man. And he's like, what? And then cuts back to the beginning for some reason. We don't know what. It cuts back to the beginning, and it's Wong looking at Stephen as he's drinking whiskey in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's like, let me go cook up, put the kettle on the pot, or something like that. He's like, before you do something stupid. And Stephen's like, yeah, you're right. And he puts the eyebrow down. And you're like, wait, this is different. So then it cuts to Stephen walking out the house, and you see like everyone frozen in time, like being liquefied into black goo and stuff like that. And he's like, what in the hell? So next thing you know, the Ancient One pops up, and he was like, oh, okay. And she was like, oh, you wasn't expecting? He was like, no, I wasn't expecting you. He was like, well, he was. And she was like, well, you could think of me of an echo. And he was like, well, I was thinking this more of an end of the world type deal. She was like, well, yeah, you are. So she explained to him what happened and explains to the viewers. So when Stephen went back and the Ancient One tried to stop him, instead of trying to kill him, she split him into two, pretty much split the timelines into two timelines that exist at the same time. So there's technically a good Stephen and there's technically an evil Stephen. So she told the good Stephen was like, hey, he's going to come after you. He's going to try to absorb you. You need to defeat him. All right, cool. Stephen got it. So he goes in and tells Wong. Wong and Stephen set up a protection spell for him not to be absorbed. So Wong's like, well, you know, he's you, so you have to stop you from destroying the world. And he was like, yeah, something like that. And he was like, he's doing this to bring her back. Didn't you love her too? And Stephen's pauses for a second, was like, yeah, I did. And then like they finished the spell, and then Stephen was like, well, yeah, you know, I need to save you too and the world. And next thing you know, as the spell finishes, like a big ass red glowing hieroglyphic circle summons around Stephen. He was like, that's not how it's done. He's like, no. And like he gets snatched through. He lands in the we're not told it's the library, but I'm very confident it was the library. And like it's pitch black. So like as he's like, hello, who's there? This, and this. Evil Stephen comes out, and like as he's coming out, you see like all the monsters he absorbed. Like the shadows are like morphing out of his body and stuff. And then it comes back in, and like pretty much it becomes like the craziest thing ever. So like good Stephen is like, you can't do this, you know, this will destroy the world entirely. Evil Stephen is like, you know, no one loved her like I did or you did or anything like that. We can bring her back. So they wind up, evil Stephen winds up snatching good Stephen, taking him back to the point where Christine dies. So they wind up having a knockdown, drag out fight. The entire time, like, good Stephen is trying to tell him, you can't do this, it's going to destroy the world. Evil Stephen is like, I don't care, I want Christine. So it gets to the point where they're fighting. Good Stephen loses his cloak, it sacrifices itself trying to stop Evil Stephen. Evil Stephen winds up breaking the barriers that pretty much the magical shielding that good Stephen had on, taking it off, absorbing him completely. No more good Stephen, no more evil Stephen, it's just now Stephen. So then, using all his powers, he reverses the time flow for Christine to survive. He brings her back. At this point, he looks like a grotesque monster, like gargoyle horns, snake fangs, like 16 eyes, tentacles hanging out his back with wings and gorilla grip arms and stuff like that. And he's like, Christina's like, oh, what the fuck? Like pretty much she spazzes like anyone would. So like she tries to run away and everything like that. And it's crazy because he like converts, but as he's converting back to normal, she's being destroyed. The world is being destroyed. Steven realizes this and tries to stop it. This is what I forgot to mention. When evil Steven was actually absorbing these evil magical beings, the Watcher was there and was saying that, hey, maybe I should say something to him. But I forgot what the Watcher said, but he was like, but it's not worth something like this, or he's not going to listen anyway. Steven heard him, but he didn't see him anymore because the Watcher left. Then, like, as Steven is trying to save the world from being, the universe from being completely wiped out, the Watcher appears again, and Steven freezes it, like, pretty much puts up the mirror dimension for a while to try to, like, save him and Christine. And he's talking to the Watcher. He was like, you're God, you can stop this. And he's like, the Watcher's like, I'm no God, you're no God. You were warned about this. You were told not to do this. You were told not to go down this path. And what happened? You took this path, you let on about it, and you did it anyway. Man, Steven's like, well, I understand I was wrong. I need, like, punish me, don't punish the world, don't destroy the universe, save the universe and punish me. And the Watcher's like, I can't do that either way. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. He was like, you brought this onto yourself. And then, like, the Watcher steps out of the universe. Next thing you know, screen, like, it goes all the way black, except for a speck. And then that speck is Steven in the mirror universe, whatever you want to call it. And Christine's there. And he's holding Christine. And Christine is like, Steven, and he's like, no, not again. And she's like, what have you done? And then out of existence. So now the only person in that entire universe of blackness, in the mirror universe at that, is Stephen Strange. And he's there weeping, saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the entire episode. So that's too much. It's too much. So it's wild. It's just wild. I can't. So yeah, that's it for the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for staying tuned. Stay true, stay savage, people, and I am out.